What up, people? Chris here to give some brief predictions for UFC 149 going down this Saturday. I say brief because, in all honesty, I'm only going to break down two fights because I'm only intrigued / interested in two fights. Now, I don't want to crap on the whole card because, in a way, it's not the UFC's fault. When this card was originally scheduled, made, whatever you want to call it, you had Jose Aldo versus Eric Koch. You had Michael Bisping versus Tim Boetsch. I believe Shogun was going to fight Thiago Silva. Thiago Alves was going to fight Yoshihiro Akiyama. Also, Sahara Bahadurzada was on the card. And I even believe Rogerio Nogueira was supposed to fight someone on the card. So the card was pretty damn stacked when this was originally made. Unfortunately, now, none of those guys except for Boetsch is still on the card. No disrespect to Boetsch, but I mean, of all those names, Boetsch is probably the one that you would not, I mean, I don't want to sound bad, but he's probably the one you would be least interested to see if the names mentioned. And of those fights that were canceled now because of injuries and just been a bad year for UFC in regards to injuries. So, now you got a main event that not a lot of people seem to be too high on, even if I think it's going to be a pretty cool fight. And a co-main event, which I'm looking forward to. So, like I said, for the co-main, you got Hector Lombard, former Bellator middleweight champion, former Cuban Olympian in judo, taking on the aforementioned Tim the Barbarian Boetsch. Lombard been killing guys in Bellator, stomping guys out, but guys that aren't really even UFC caliber opponents, so take that for what you will. Although he did go the distance with Alexander Slamenko, which was a pretty damn entertaining fight, but he won that as well. Boetsch coming off the amazing come behind win over Yoshihiro Akiyama, or not Yoshihiro Akiyama, Yushin Okami, my bad. Yushin Okami, where Boetsch was getting his ass whipped for 2 rounds. Looked like he was done. Matt Hume says, you got to go out there and get it done. And he did just that. Rocked him, finished him off with uppercuts in the clinch. Just a great finish. Great come from behind win, one of the best in the history of the UFC. As for this fight, it's actually a tough call to make, you know what I'm saying? Like, both guys like to fight on the inside. Lombard just likes to go crazy, throw haymakers. And Boetsch, he's down to do that somewhat, but he's also a bit of a wrestler, a bit of a grinder. I'm going to favor Lombard because of the fact that he can throw bombs. And although Boetsch made an amazing comeback against Okami, he was getting his ass whipped for the first 2 rounds. Now, granted, Lombard doesn't have that height, length, or reach advantage that Okami did. He's not going to look to jab or keep it on the outside. And I don't know if he's going to look to take him down and smash him on top like Okami did, although he might. But Hector Lombard, the way he fights, he's always going to be at risk to get hit because he's inside just winging. So that'll give Boetsch the opportunity to land some stuff as well, some counter shots. But I think that Lombard hits a little bit harder. I really don't know who has a better chin. In all honesty, this fight may actually come down to who can take who's shot better. Punch, that is. As in punch shot. But I'm going to favor Hector Lombard. I think he's going to land more. I think he's going to be able to do more damage. And either get a 3rd round stoppage or win by decision. But I think it should be a pretty damn good fight based on the styles of these two guys. Main event of the night for the UFC interim bantamweight title. You got former featherweight champ Urijah Faber taking on Renan Barao. Of course, it was really supposed to be Urijah facing Dominic Cruz at UFC 148. But as we all know, Cruz got hurt. So then it was going to be Faber versus Barao at UFC 148. And it got moved to here after the Aldo fight got scrapped. Urijah, it's been a while since he fought, but when he last did, he, surprisingly in my opinion, dominated Brian Bowles. Beat him up on the feet, submitted him in the 2nd round. I was just surprised how easily Urijah was able to handle Bowles. As for Barao, he's on this huge winning streak. I mean, he's won like, 20 or something in a row? Almost all of them by finishes, by submission or knockout, until his last fight. He won dominantly over Scott Young Guns Jorgensen, but it went to a decision. So it makes me wonder, even though he looked really good against Brad Pickett, stopping him as well, and he has looked good thus far in the UFC and the WEC, now that he's stepping up his level of opposition in Jorgensen, who is somewhat like Urijah Faber, but not as good, it makes me wonder if the level of opposition, maybe we're not going to see these finishes from him. As for the matchup, I'm going to favor Urijah Faber. No, it's not just because he represents my city, Sacramento, California. First off, he's more experienced in 5-round fights. Win or lose, he's been able to go the distance in fights for the most part. Barao hasn't, so we don't know how his card is going to hold up. Also, Uriah's got the wrestling advantage here. Now, Barao trains with Jose Aldo at Novia Una camp in Brazil, so obviously he trains with the guy that already beat Urijah Faber. And Barao has somewhat of a similar style as Aldo, but he's not as an explosive or powerful striker as his teammate Jose Aldo is. So although I think he'll be able to land some strikes, I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Urijah Faber because Aldo wasn't able to finish him, and he kicked his ass for 5 rounds. I was there, I saw it. Might be able to throw some leg kicks, but I think Uriah's going to work some takedowns, try to work some ground and pound. Uriah's pretty quick. I don't know if he's quicker than Barao, but he's pretty quick on his feet still. Like I said, work some ground and pound, and then some shots. He might be able to go for a guillotine, I don't see Urijah Faber getting submitted, so if he's going to lose this fight, I think it's going to be by stoppage. I don't think he's going to lose over the distance. I think he's going to get stopped if he loses, but I don't think he's going to get stopped. Not to say he can't, but I think he's just going to, like I said, use that wrestling advantage, get the takedowns, work the ground and pound, work good in the scrambles. If Barao starts landing some leg kicks, try to do something different like he did in the Aldo fight, obviously. And if Barao lands anything hard with punches and hurts Uriah has shown that he's been able to recuperate pretty well from shots outside of the first Mike Brown fight. So I think it's probably going to go the distance unless Uriah catches him in submission or Barao just knocks him out with one shot or really hurts him and is able to finish him off. But ultimately, I see Urijah Faber most likely winning by unanimous decision. All right, looking forward to you guys' thoughts on this event. If you have any interest at all, which fights, why, who you see winning, and how. I'm curious to see what the bar scene is like. For UFC 147, there was nobody there when I got there. Pretty much not very many people there by the main event between Franklin and Silva. UFC 148, the place was packed, standing room only. I mean, you could barely even... There was people crowded. It was all over the place. This fight, this event, not a lot of interest in it, but the difference is Urijah Faber is the main event, and I do live in Sacramento, California, so curious to see what the turnout's like. But either way, I'll be there, as always, checking out the fight. So that's it for now. Talked about this event a little bit more in depth, as well as post-Strike Force and other stuff on yesterday's Science Science Radio show. So if you can get a chance to check it out live, you can always check it out on podcast or on demand. Links to that, as well as scienceofviolence.com, Science of Violence on Facebook, and my Twitter account in the information part of the video, as always. I'll probably be back Saturday night to do a video talk about this event post, but until then, I'm out.